Lakers Talk is on.
710 ESPN.
Let me just kind of give my 2 cents here when it comes to the NBA schedule. I think you guys understand how this works. Money talks.
Back again. And just like that, the NBA will be back on December 22nd.
That's a big day for the NBA. Does it help the Lakers? No, it doesn't. All of a sudden, this Lakers team will have about 2 months, and if you count training camp, less than 2 months of rest before they start again. You can't be too happy about that if you're a Laker fan, but you have such a big part of the NBA where the date shouldn't be an issue.
Yeah, back again. From the home of the purple and gold at LA Live, this is Lakers Talk.
Here's Allen Sliwa.
Back again. For more titles, rings, and plaques, belts, trophies, and banners, and things like that.
What is going on, Laker fans? Thank you for tuning in. I appreciate it. Lakers Talk tonight. I mean, listen, let me get this right out the gate, all right? Let me get things started right out the gate. If you think like we got plenty of time until Laker season starts, I just want everybody to know we don't have that much time. Like, that's it. We're here. Laker season is virtually starting. We know the way this whole thing works. We know that November 20th is going to be the start of NBA free agency. And November 18th is when the draft starts. So we're pretty much here. Laker season is pretty much right here. So we're going to continue to do this. Appreciate you tuning in. Got all the comments right here next to me. I'm ready to get going. I hope you guys are ready to get going. And we got some good topics that are coming up here. Okay, so let me start off with this. First of all, can you guys see the polo? Real quick, can you guys see the polo? On this side, yes. I don't know what I'm doing. Do you guys see this polo? What do you guys think of this polo? Pretty nice polo, huh? A couple of people want a couple fist pumps. I got a couple fist pumps here. Got a couple fist pumps, okay? Pretty good polo about the Los Angeles Lakers and the champion Los Angeles Lakers. Let me tell you guys something real quick, okay? Let me give a shout out. Give a shout out to John Cruz from Flexible Warehouse Solutions. This dude straight up just sent me a polo. He just said, thank you for Lakers Nation. And he just sent me a polo, okay? Now, I'm not going to tell you guys that I have any favorites when it comes to those who spend some time on this show and spend some time on Lakers Talk. But I'm just telling you guys right now, you send a freaking polo to me, and you're John Cruz from Flexible Warehouse Solutions. A lot of love, my friend John. Thank you very much, John in San Diego. Thank you for the polo. Thank you for the polo. For all those who did not send me a polo, I have nothing to thank you for, okay? Nothing at all to thank you for. Okay, let's get back on track. But thank you, John Cruz. Greatly appreciate it. Awesome polo here. Okay. Here we go. Free agency. We are a couple days or what we are? It's the 10 days away from free agency starting, okay? Free agency will start Friday, a week from Friday at 3 p.m. I'm not 100% sure. Not 100% sure what to expect from the Los Angeles Lakers. I really don't, actually. I mean, the reality is there's a lot that's going to happen. I don't know how much of that's going to be associated to the Lakers, and I don't know how much of that is going to be associated to, what other teams do. The Lakers are in a good spot. Here's the bottom line. Whatever happens to the Los Angeles Lakers, your foundation is there. You have LeBron James and you have Anthony Davis. Those are obviously the two most important pieces. Whatever happens after that kind of happens, and it's all good. The world's not going to end whatever happens after that. But what I will tell you is the position that the Lakers are in walking into free agency, how are you, if you're a player out there that wants to compete for an NBA championship, that wants the chance to hang up or get your first championship ring, or maybe you just want another shot at competing for a championship, and you saw how good the Lakers got along throughout the season. I think one of the things that's kind of undervalued when you look at this Lakers team, compare them to the Clippers. One team had not just talent, both teams had talent, but one team had chemistry, and the other team just never felt like it all clicked together. And I think when free agency starts, I don't know what's going to happen, but I will say that it starts on November 20th, and I think the Lakers will be a very attractive destination. Now, the salary cap and the luxury tax, that didn't move. I guess that's a disadvantage to the Lakers. I did my Lakers talk show, and Larry Kuhn, who's like an expert on all this stuff, kind of broke it down. There's certain teams that this played into their advantage. There's other teams that didn't necessarily play to their advantage. I don't think this essentially played into the Lakers' advantage, but at the end of the day, I will take my chances. Free agency starts on November 20th. Okay. The next topic I want to get into, I think, is going to draw a lot of interest. This is going to, I think people are going to be pretty polarizing on what this topic is. Okay. Kyle Kuzma. This is the question that I'm asking Laker fans out there. By the way, those who are on the chat right now, we're not doing this again. You can't start putting in where you're tuning in from until I ask for that. Okay. So please stop putting where you're tuning in from. This is a show. We're trying to get everything going. By the way, you see right here, Power Pro Plumbing, Heating and Air sponsoring Lakers Talk. I greatly appreciate it from them. They are a partner on here, and don't be surprised over the next couple of weeks here. Might have a couple new partners coming in as well. Trying to run a business here, guys. Trying to run a business. But thank you to Power Pro Plumbing, Heating and Air for being a part of the show. Okay. Let's talk Kuzma real quick, all right? Let's go Kyle Kuzma real quick. That's Kyle Kuzma. That's a photo of him. I don't know if you guys know who he is. He's a player on the Los Angeles Lakers. All right. This is a question I got for Laker fans. Laker fans. Is Kuzma more valuable as a player, or is he more valuable as an asset that you trade this upcoming season? All right? So that's the question I'm asking for Laker fans. Basically this. Do you want to see Kyle Kuzma on this roster this upcoming season, or do you think he should be on the trading block and you could go get another asset that comes in and maybe he's got a couple more years on him as far as age goes? Maybe he's a little bit more of a vet. Maybe he's a player that you think could help you these next 2 years with LeBron and Anthony Davis to help increase your championship chances. Okay? So that's the question I'm asking Laker fans. Do you want to keep Kyle Kuzma and let him kind of continue to grow on this Lakers team and try to find a role? Or do you want to use him as an asset to go get another player and go compete to go back-to-back? All right? Let me give my thoughts here real quick, and then I'm going to start reading some of your comments off. All right? So let me just say this. Kuzma's making $3.5 million this upcoming year. He's making nothing. When I say nothing, you guys know what I'm referring to. For his skill set, for his age, that's not a lot of money in the NBA. $3.5 million is not a lot. So his contract is actually very valuable for the Lakers because they're not paying him much, and he outplays what his contract has. Okay? He's only 25 years old. He's averaging about 12.5 points per game, which is what I think he averaged during the season. So that was the third highest average on the team this year. Okay? Let me say what I like about Kyle Kuzma. Somebody said trade him for some garlic fries and some blue ice. Let me tell you something right now. Garlic fries are amazing. So I by no means ever question garlic fries. But let's stay on point here real quick. Let me give some love to Kuz real quick because I have a take on this. I'm going to give you my take, but I also want to preface a couple things here. Kuz hasn't really done anything wrong. Okay? I don't think none of this is Kuzma's fault, the conversation that I'm about to have about Kuz. It's not Kuzma's fault that everybody said he's the third best player on the team, and he's not the third most valuable player on this team. He's just not. I'm sorry. Maybe something happens down the road. That's not the case right now. We just put him up on this pedestal like he was going to be a player that really he's not. My favorite part about Kuzma this past season, Kuz wasn't one of those players that, I think felt like, oh, I got to get mine. You know what? I'm just as good as Anthony Davis. I should be taking, as many shots or, like he wasn't a distraction. He wasn't a problem. I think Kuz was listening to the Jared Dudleys, the LeBron James, the Frank Vogels, the Rob Pelinkas, the Rondos, players that have been in this league for a while, front office, coaching staff. And I think he genuinely was trying to do the right thing all season long. Sometimes it worked. A lot of times it didn't. But Kuz wasn't a player where, during the playoffs, my frustration with Kuz was, okay, he missed some shots, but my frustration wasn't Kuz isn't doing the right thing for the team. No, I felt like Kuz was doing the right thing for the team. So I preface all that by saying that sometimes players, just the timing of where they are, sometimes it meets the timeline of what the team looks like, and sometimes it doesn't. And we'll use all those young players that the Lakers had. When the Lakers got LeBron James, all those young players just didn't meet the timeline. You start trading them away. You start getting rid of them. You bring Anthony Davis. You grab some vets, all that stuff. Obviously, everything changes. Kuzma was the only guy to stay. Kuzma is really one of the only few assets that the Lakers still have. So I will say this about Kyle Kuzma. Last year, I thought he was going to get traded before the trade deadline. I was actually making points saying that if you're Rob Pelinka, you got to go out and get more talent. I was trying to make a run at Marcus Morris is what I kept saying. And what did Pelinka end up doing? He held on to Kuzma, and he got Markieff Morris's brother, Marcus Morris's brother, and everything worked out freaking great. And the Lakers won a championship, and you still have Kyle Kuzma. My take on Kuzma is this. If there's a player that makes sense, that's going to help you over these next 2 years, that is a veteran that you think will be an asset, to increase your chances at a championship, I think I wouldn't hesitate. Let's put it that way. Because this is what's also going to happen with Kyle Kuzma after this year. He's making $3.5 million this year. This is probably the time to see if you can shop him, because he's going to make a lot more money than $3.5 million a year. And I don't think the Lakers are going to be the team that pays him a boatload of money. Not a boatload, but whatever that is. $15 million a year, that's a lot of money. And I'm not even, I don't even know what he's worth in the market. I don't know, he's $10 million a year, $50 million. He's 25 years old. He said in the past, I'll be fine when it comes to money. I'm going to get paid, and he will. He's a young player that can play multiple positions, and he can shoot the ball. There's a team out there that's going to sign him to a contract. So that is my take on Kyle Kuzma. Now I will read off some of your comments on Kyle Kuzma. All right, let's take a look here. What do you guys got to say here? Carlos Garcia on Facebook. Carlos, thank you for tuning in. Says trade him with DG, Danny Green, and try to get another star. By the way, that seems like the most likely combination. If you really think about it, that seems like it would be the most likely combination. Why? Because Danny Green makes $15 million. Kyle Kuzma makes $3 million. So if you put both of those contracts together, you're at $18 million. Now all of a sudden there's players that are making that type of money that you would think could be immediately impactful. You're probably going to have to target a player on a bad team, right? A bad team that says, hey, let's give Kuz a chance. Maybe Kuz can be a good player for us down the road. And then Danny Green's an expiring contract, so it'd have to be that kind of a combination if you're going to do it. So, Carlos, appreciate the message on Facebook. I'll tell you this, Carlos. I'll give you a much bigger shout-out if you got me a Lakers polo, championship polo, because that's what John Cruz from Flexible Warehouse Solutions did. Straight up sent me a freaking Lakers polo. What have you guys done for me lately? All right, I love you all. Don't worry, I love you all. All right, let me read off another one here. Dude sent me a polo. Tip Shaik on YouTube says, shoots a lot. Anytime he touches the ball, the rest of the team might as well get back on defense because he's shooting. Okay, let me say this about Kuz. Kuz's shot selection was a lot better than it was a year ago. I mean, I thought Kuz was disciplined for the Lakers. I really do. I felt like Kuz, as the season progressed, especially in the playoffs, there was less and less time that I was saying, Kuz, why are you shooting that shot? Now, there could have been times where I'm saying, Kuz, you got to hit that shot. You're wide open. It's a critical point in the game. We need you to hit that shot. But I still think that he was good. All right, Kyle on Periscope says, Brad Turner just told you on Lakers Talk why Kuz will most likely not be traded. Thank you, Kyle. I'm aware of that. I was hosting the show. But let me say this. Brad Turner's thought was, well, you're not going to trade him because of his contract, But that's kind of my point of why he is a player that I think could get traded, is because that $3.5 million will expire at some point this year. Not at some point when the season ends. The big question is do the Lakers then pay, big time money for Kyle Kuzma? Big time, you guys know what I'm referring to. What is their ceiling for Kuz? I don't know what their ceiling is going to be. By the way, I appreciate you tuning in, Kyle. Or not Kyle. What's the guy's name? Kyle. Kyle, thank you for tuning in. It could be Kuz. That could be Kuz on Periscope. Mangy Bat on YouTube. Free Kuz or start him next year. Let's see what else we got here. Eric Nunez says problem is finding another wing to replace his minutes. I want a 3-and-D guy. We need a 3-and-D guy. 3-and-D guy that's, been in the league for 7, 8, 10 years, something along those lines. That'd be great to have a player like that. I mean, there's some other positions we need. We do need a playmaker and everything else. All right, let me read off. See, find another good comment here. Got some people saying he's going to make around $15 million. Al Sarani says preserve cap space for 2021. I'm with you on preserving the cap space. No question about it. Some big-time free agents next summer. And the Lakers will be in position to sign another big-time player. We'll see what AD ends up signing for. Remember, LeBron's going to have a player option in his 4th year, so we'll see what that looks like. But Lakers will definitely have some options next year. Okay, one more I'm going to read here, and then we're going to start moving on to another topic. I'll tell you one thing about Kuz. That dude every time gets a lot of when that chatter comes about Kuzma, everybody's talking about him. All right, Raymond Rivera says, sorry, Kuzma can go. I think a couple people are trying to trade me. You're not going to get much value in that trade. You're not going to get that much value if you trade me. Okay, let's move on to our topics here. By the way, let's do some roll call. Let's get some roll call going in here. Where are you guys tuning in from? Let me know where you guys are tuning in from. I'll give a shout out on here, and we'll take it from there. So we'll start all that stuff as we go. If I don't read your comment, I'll get back to you. So just keep the comments coming. Keep the comments coming of where you're tuning in from. Okay, let's move on to importance of free agency. How important is free agency to the Lakers? How important is it to the Lakers? Anaheim, thank you for being a part of the show. Florida, San Diego. Somebody's at the Ralphs in San Diego. Do your thing. Get whatever you got to get. Redondo, thank you for tuning in. Temecula, Austin, Texas. Murrieta, somebody's at Staples Center. They're lying to all of us on this chat. Studio City, thank you for being a part of the show. Connecticut, thank you for being a part of the show. Glendale, somebody's at his mom's basement. Save that money. Whatever you got to do these days. Philippines, Puerto Rico, Arietta, Tulsa, Pennsylvania, Lake Forest. Everybody's everywhere. Someone's at King Taco. Someone's at Mars. I get those every time. I get it. I understand it. Everybody thinks they're a comedian on this channel. South Carolina, thank you for being a part of the show. Bakersfield, thank you for being a part of the show. Okay, I'm going to stop looking at the comments for a second. Italy, Yorba Linda, Arcadia, and Montreal, Canada. I'm going to stop looking at the topics for a second. The importance of free agency for the Lakers. Let me remind everybody for a quick second that this free agency for the Lakers, it's a luxury. It's not a necessity. Okay? You hear that comment a lot. What's a luxury? What's a necessity? What is something that you have to have, and what is something that you're just getting because the rich is getting richer? This free agency for the Lakers is 100% a luxury. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm not saying that it wouldn't be nice to add some pieces to this roster. 100% it would be. I'm not saying that wouldn't be nice to add a shooter or to add a 3-and-D player or to add a playmaker that comes off the bench. I'd be lying to you guys if I didn't say that it would be very, very nice to have those types of players that are a part of this Lakers team. But I will say that, obviously everybody is chasing the Los Angeles Lakers. So the Clippers are probably a piece away. They're thinking in their head, can we get a vet? Can we get somebody that's going to help us with our chemistry? The Warriors are saying to themselves, we just got to get back on the court. I've already talked about how the Warriors have so many different they got a lot of avenues to take. They got their number 2 pick. They got that trade exemption, which is worth $17 million that they could use on a player. I don't even understand that. That sounds crazy to me. That's part of the Andre Iguodala deal. They got Andrew Wiggins as a trade asset. So Warriors are in a freaking good position. But you got a lot of teams chasing the Lakers. Here's the bottom line for the Lakers, that even if they absolutely struck out in free agency, even if it went absolutely awful and they didn't get the players that, they were hoping for, or those vets didn't come, take a little less money to come play for the Lakers. Even if that scenario played out, I want to remind Laker fans about something. And by the way, I don't think that's going to happen. I do think that the Lakers will have players that come. I do think that our roster will be better than it was a year ago. So I do think good things are on the horizon for the Lakers. But if everything just didn't go as planned, you still got LeBron James. You still got Anthony Davis. You could take those 2 players, throw me on the roster as well, take 2 of you guys on this chat room, and we're still going to win 50 games this upcoming season. Okay? So I say that because free agency is always important. But the Lakers can mix and match and find ways to plug this roster in between now and the time free agency starts, between free agency and the season starting and the trade deadline, and in the buyout market. So they're going to have opportunities to continue to improve the roster. But the most important thing is that the Lakers got LeBron James and Anthony Davis. That foundation is set. So I know we're all going to be on, not pins and needles, but we're all just going to be excited, and we're going to be watching free agency. And because we're going to be watching free agency, our expectation is that we're going to end up with a couple players. Let's see what happens. I will tell you this. I will tell you that there's as many questions about the players on this Lakers roster. That's including KCP. That's including Rajon Rondo. That's including Markieff Morris and Dwight Howard. Some of these guys that there is of who the Lakers can go out there and get. So free agency is important, but it's not everything for the Lakers. It really, really is not everything for the Lakers. But I still think they'll do well in free agency. Speaking of free agency, the rumors on Serge Ibaka. Let me go to page 2 here, guys. A lot of notes here. A lot of notes here. Be professional. By the way, did I ever say a quick shout out to Power Pro Plumbing, Heating, and Air for being a partner here on Lakers Talk? Thank you, Power Pro. Thank you, Power Pro. I got these partners that I work with. Okay, now you guys know I did come from the business side. I was doing the business side for 10 years here at 710. But I got these partners. I got really good relationships with them. They like what I'm doing, and they're all huge Laker fans. So that's a fantastic mix right there. Let me talk a little Serge Ibaka. So I'm going to read off this. Aniket Mohad says Ibaka followed the Lakers on Twitter. Okay, did not know that. Somebody want to confirm that while I'm doing the show here? Seen Ibaka following the Lakers on Twitter. Did that just happen, or what's the deal here? You guys got to fill me in here. Corey McKinney saying it as well. Okay, you guys are almost like inside sources for me, right? Because then when I go on the radio, when they say, Allen, how did that happen? How do you know that? I say, well, it's very simple. I was doing a social show, and I got inside sources. They're everywhere. Laker fans are everywhere. They're talking. I got Laker fans on the phone right now that are a part of this chat trying to get me insider information. And I appreciate that. Okay. All right. Somebody's saying that it just happened. Okay. Let me read off this tweet. So this report. Al Sarani can verify. Thank you, Al. Thank you very much. Okay. So Serge Ibaka. 2 weeks ago, I did a show, Lakers Talk show. Bobby Marks was on the show. And I was asking Bobby Marks, say, hey, Bobby. All right, I didn't say it like that. But I was asking Bobby Marks. I was asking him, somebody wants a couple fist bumps here. I'm all over the place right now. Asking Bobby Marks. I was telling him, I'm like, all right, is there a vet that the Lakers think would be realistic that would come to the Lakers? And he said Serge Ibaka. He threw me off. I'm like, Serge Ibaka? Are you kidding me? I would love to have Serge Ibaka on this team. Forget about the Lakers and forget about how he's going to help them. I'm a Serge Ibaka fan. No, I really do. I'm a big fan of Serge Ibaka. I really am. But I'm going to read off this. There it is, Serge Ibaka following the Lakers on Twitter. What you guys need to do is some more. You guys need to do some more intel of, like, is he following other teams? What if he's following 9 other teams? Then this isn't inside track here. Okay. But let me read off a quick tweet or a quick message. There was a report from Sean Devaney of Heavy.com. Here's what Sean said. From a personnel standpoint, he is exactly the kind of combo big guy that the team needs. Talking about the Lakers, a GM told Heavy.com this, okay? They have had interest in him before, and they will again. When he is healthy, he is an excellent spot starter at the 5 and the 4. He's a good bench big guy, as there is in the league. He was a really credible three-point threat last year. If he is willing to accept what the Lakers can afford to give him, I know they would want him. So Serge Ibaka averaged about 15 points, 8 rebounds with the Toronto Raptors last year. But this is the kind of somebody saying he's not following the Raptors. It's a good sign. It's a good sign. I have inside sources that are now telling me that Serge Ibaka currently follows the Lakers on Twitter and does not follow the Toronto Raptors. What more do you need? What more do you need? Okay. Let me tell you why I like Serge Ibaka. First of all, he's a good player. I mean, yes, he's a stretch player. Yes, he can hit a jumper. But remember all those battles he had with the Oklahoma City Thunder, big-time games, the battles that he had with the Toronto Raptors, and was actually big. I got everybody just giving me these messages now. And how big he was in the championship run, being the Golden State Warriors. Imagine if Serge Ibaka is one of two things for you. First of all, he could be your starter, no question about it. Him and Anthony Davis down low, or he's coming in off the bench and he's kind of your first player off the bench, and he's spending a lot of his time kind of backup minutes for Anthony Davis or playing with AD or whatever the case is. This is a good kind of player. This is a really nice player, and this is what I'm talking about. Free agency coming. I think the Lakers are going to end up with a player like this that maybe we're not all talking about right now. And eventually, ends up signing with the Lakers. We got a quick update. Breaking news here. Straightaway Georgia, Elder Rufus on YouTube. Serge is following the Raptors on Instagram. Thank you, Straightaway Georgia, Elder Rufus on YouTube. So thank you for doing that. That's big time. That is big time right there. So anyways, to just kind of play off of that, he's a good player. He's a good locker room guy. He's got championship experience, has won a championship. If the Lakers can get a guy like Serge Ibaka, this question is going to come down to money. I mean, we can't all go start a GoFundMe page and funnel money over to Serge Ibaka to bring him to the Lakers. They got their cap to work with. So I guess we're just going to find out what kind of a priority is winning a championship, playing in LA, going to be for Serge Ibaka. All right. All right. Let me read off some of these comments on Serge Ibaka. All right, Barry Foster on Facebook says, waiting for Allen Sliwa to follow Fox Sports Radio. Let's get the rumors going now. This is good, Barry. This is good. All of you guys. All right, let me read off a couple of these comments on Serge Ibaka. Kingman310 says it's too cold there in Toronto. You're not joking about that. Calvin Evangelista on YouTube says Serge over Kuzma and McGee. All right, and then all the other comments are literally about who he follows on Twitter and Instagram. Okay, Andrew Yen, last one on Serge Ibaka, and then we're moving on, all right? 2 issues with Ibaka. 1, there are more valuable options at the mid-level exceptions that could be used. 2, He could be benched when AD moves to the 5. Okay. Andrew, tell me what other players are more valuable than the mid-level exception, because I think the Lakers would be incredibly fortunate to grab Serge Ibaka with their mid-level exception. By the way, you're probably going to have to pay Rondo, and I don't know what money that's going to be. I don't know how much KCP is going to get in the market, but Brad Turner was talking about earlier in the show that both of those players are definitely going to opt out of their contract because they know they're going to get paid more. So Lakers got a lot of questions on that front. Okay, somebody's saying Chris Paul to the Suns. That didn't happen, right? That was just being rumored by Brian Windhorst. If it happens, you guys hit me on this, because I don't know if you guys notice, I'm trying to do a show here at the same time. Let me check Twitter real quick. Got anything here? All right, we don't got anything yet. By the way, real quick on that, how much would that suck for Chris Paul if he gets traded to the Suns, for him personally? That's got to be awful. Out of all the teams out there, he ends up with the Phoenix Suns. I'm sorry, but I've seen Phoenix, that organization, play enough, and they want to, make it look like the Devin Booker that they're doing everything. That's not a well-run organization. So I'm definitely not on that list when it comes to that. Okay, let's keep moving. Let's go to Danny Green. Danny Green. Just a second, Laker fans. All right, this is what I got here for Danny Green. This is my question, Laker fans. So Danny Green signed a 2-year deal for $30 million. That was Danny Green's deal with the Lakers. So 1 year's out the books. He's got 1 year left, $15 million. Couple fist bumps right there. By the way, did I tell you guys that I had a listener, a fan of the show, send me a Laker polo? How nice is that? What's going on? But I appreciate it. So that's my question to Laker fans. The final year of Danny Green's contract, there were times that Danny Green was an asset, and then there was other times where I think more times than not, Danny Green didn't come through for the Lakers. So I actually think this 1 year, $15 million deal left on Danny Green's contract, I actually think it is very reasonable, because it's an expiring contract. And both Danny Green and I both have our hands up like this at the same time, which was kind of weird because I didn't know that photo was coming up. But I actually think that 1 year, $15 million, I know it's a lot, don't get me wrong, but that's not a difficult contract to move. If you end up moving it, I got to keep my hands down the whole time because that photo has Danny Green doing the exact same thing I'm doing. That contract, because it's an expiring contract, is actually not that bad of a contract. Now, the question I have for Laker fans, should Danny Green be used as part of a trade, or do you keep Danny Green? Danny Green even mentioned it. He does that podcast, The Green Room, Inside the Green Room or something like that. He talked about how he knows that, since he was in San Antonio, there's always trade rumors. So that's I think a lot of Laker fans feel a certain way. This is how I feel Laker fans are. I feel like Laker fans more than not want to get rid of Kuzma, more than not want to get rid of Danny Green. That's my take on how I read Laker fans over the last 6 months or so. That's how I would read it. So let me read some of these comments here. O.C. O'Neill says trade, 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 and trade. He says it 5 times. You could only trade him once, O.C. O'Neill. Once you trade him, you can't trade him again. Aris Rejanto says keep him. Okay. Barry Foster. This is a good point from Barry Foster on Facebook. He says Lakers can't trade Green for someone with a long-term deal. They need to keep their cap space open for Giannis in 21. The Giannis part, you lost me, but the cap space part, I get it and I understand it. I don't know. I'll tell you guys this, and this is kind of going to be my theme every time I do a Lakers show between now and the season starting. You got to go all in You know what I mean? Like, the one thing I like about Pelinka, I don't think the guy panics. I think he's, always a move ahead, it seems like. And he's got incredible recruiters in LeBron and Anthony Davis and Rich Paul and the Lakers brand and everything else. But you just won a championship with LeBron at age 35. He'll be 36 by the time the season starts. I know we keep saying this, but I don't know how much longer LeBron's going to go at this level. So if you got to do what you got to do over the next 2 years to try and get one more championship with LeBron here, you freaking do it. And it doesn't matter what you do and how you do it. But if it improves your chances, Danny Green, I don't think has come through the way anybody thought he'd come through in that first year. Maybe something changes in the second year, but he didn't. He did not come through the way that I think most people had anticipated. So I go back to this. Whether it's Kuz, whether it's Danny Green, whoever it is, I would say that at the end of the day, you got to go all in at this moment. And I'm okay if Danny Green's not on this roster next season. I'm okay with that. Absolutely okay with that. Maybe it's by the time trade deadline comes. I'm okay with that. I think it's more important right now to kind of try and fill in some of these other holes. Remember, Avery Bradley is going to be, most likely will be back. Alex Caruso is still on this team. We'll see what happens with KCP. We'll see what happens with Rajon Rondo. Terry Bogard says Danny Green for Tim Hardaway Jr. I think Tim Hardaway Jr. is just a free agent. I don't think you have to make a trade. What else we got here? Chris Bravo. Trade. 6 times he put trades, taking out the 5 trades that I got earlier. Kenneth Samok says, keep him. Diego Cuervo, keep DG. Ahmed Youssef on Periscope, trade Green and Kuzma on the 28th pick for CP3. It's not going to happen financially. CP3 is about to make $41 million this year and I think $44 million next year. You guys hear what I said? $41 million this year, $44 million next year. What? He's getting $85 million over the next 2 years. Who's his agent? O.C. O'Neill. Thanks for the show. Thank you for tuning in, bro. All right, let me read off a couple more here. There's Keep. We need Rondo. I definitely agree with you. We need Rondo. We got to keep Rondo in the mix here. Okay, let me read off one more here. Periscope. The guy's name on Periscope is Dr. Bus. Derrick Rose is the move. It's interesting. I got a couple calls on Derrick Rose. During the show, people were calling in about Derrick Rose, and I'm seeing a lot of I think I got a couple of tweets on Derrick Rose as well. Sounds like Laker fans. I agree we need somebody coming off the bench that can be a scoring punch. I'd take Derrick Rose. The only thing is Derrick Rose is pretty much only valuable, it seems like, when he has the ball in his hands. I don't know if you want him in the game at the end. Like, one of the things that made Rondo so special is he was so willing to pass. And he was such a threat to dish the ball. Derrick Rose is just not really part of his game. Okay. Let's go to the final segment here. I think we've already been going for a half hour, guys. Okay? We got time limits here, guys. We got time limits. Okay, this is your time. You want to send in some questions. You got any questions, now's the time to ask them, and I'll do my best to get to them. If I don't know how to answer the question, then I'll just skip over it and pretend like I never saw it. If the question is bad, I'll pretend like I never saw it as well. If it's good, then I'll read it. Just a heads up how this works. Just complete transparency. That's all this is. Complete transparency. Maru says, talk about LaMelo Ball. I don't know where he's going to fall in the draft. Why was I feeling, somebody say he might go 7 to Detroit or something like that, or Detroit's trying to trade up. First it was he's going to be the number 1 pick. Then it was going to be his top 3, no question about it. Now I feel like he's fallen out of the top 3. So we'll see what happens. Look, fascinating story because of, the Ball family. But we'll see what happens once he gets into the league. Amid Yusuf, I have a question. How many hot dogs did you eat? I ate 9. 100% I ate 9. Okay? I don't know what you guys want me to tell you. Had 9. Camera angle was awful. Camera angle should have been down. I should have been up. The whole thing. Had 9 of them. Dab bread. What would you consider a good question? Good question. Not sure. Russia, Davidson, yes, you did miss roll call. All right, let me get a couple more questions in here. Then we're getting the hell out of here. Third shift, UPS, Ohio. My man, doing his thing out there. Do your thing. Thank you for tuning in. How about Jeff Teague? I don't know how Teague would mesh with some of these players. A lot of times I see Jeff Teague, and I don't know. I don't know from would he mesh? Is that chemistry there? Then again, I also see a lot of players that kind of come in with LeBron James, and then LeBron just makes them all feel welcome, and then they just work, So that's an interesting name. Adrian, appreciate you tuning in from Santa Fe, New Mexico. One more question, and then we're calling it a night. Got a good one, guys. Do you rest players early on since playoffs may be in a bubble again? Let me say this. 72-game schedule. You lost 2 months already because, we're playing in December 22nd rather than October 22nd. You're down 10 games, which you're still playing 88% of the season. I like actually the way the NBA structured everything, and they're trying to make sure by the time next season rolls around, we're back to kind of a regular schedule. So how the Lakers kind of approach this, I think they should kind of pace themselves. I don't know if you should be worrying all that much about home court or anything along those lines. I think the Lakers just got to be healthy for the playoffs. They're healthy for the playoffs. We'll take our chances. And I think this Lakers team, obviously has got as good of a chance as anybody else to win an NBA championship. Okay. Philippines, Australia, thank you all for tuning in. Laker fans, appreciate it. We'll do it again next week. I think next week my show's on Monday on 710 ESPN, so that means I'll be doing this on Monday. And we're only going to be a few days away from the draft and from free agency. So we got a lot coming up for the Lakers. Appreciate you guys being a part of the show. Last one, Gallinari. Gallinari would be a good one, too. I know somebody hit me a couple times on the Gallinari front. I think Gallinari would be a good one, too. Listen, the next time we go at it, I think we're going to have a lot more idea of what's going on in the NBA, if guys like Chris Paul moved or any of that stuff. So we're back at it, Laker fans. We're back at it. Appreciate you tuning in. Couple fist pumps for my Laker peeps out there, and appreciate you guys doing it. Have a good night. Get the hell off the channel. Get out of here.